And joining me tonight, Martin Grubb. Martin, how are you doing?
I'm good, Andy. Yeah, it's been a good day.
Been a good day. Well, we've not spoke on film for quite some time. So, firstly, congratulations for last season and on Coventry. Just epic. It was just once in a lifetime, almost, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you always know, we go out and we set out to win every competition that we enter. We done that up until the national final weekend. You go in with a little bit of anticipation, a little bit of pressure, but the players were determined to finish the job and create that bit of history with a Grand Slam or Shark Slam, as we've called it. So, unbelievable weekend. The players deserve a massive amount of credit, and everybody involved with the club, from top to bottom, it deserves massive amount of credit. So it was a fantastic way to finish one season off, and then obviously very busy close season to date, and culminating in the exciting news that we're about to
Yeah.
discuss.
Well, you said there we just created history last year, and today's another chapter in Sharks history because today, for those of you who maybe haven't seen it, the league announced that we were moving to the NIHL division and that the Sharks had new owners. So congratulations on all of that. So tell us how the NIHL membership came around first, because there was so much chatter before it on social media with a lot of fans, certainly from the southern team, saying no one to go to Dumfries, it's too far. So how did we manage to get into that division, Martin?
It's been obviously a bit of work in progress, and it started actually a good few years ago, where we were initially involved in some discussions, and we've always said that it would have to be the right time, not only for the club, but more importantly the league and the sport, because we want to do that justice and show that the respect. So after the last couple of seasons, especially the monumentous season that we had, myself, Ian Bryden as the chairman, Andrea Stenton as the club secretary, and Jamie Thompson, we met Steve Nell and John Neville kind of on behalf of the National Ice Hockey League in Coventry. We had a very honest and open chat, and they two gentlemen have supported us all the way in this. So it was discussed on, would it be a possibility? Would it be a possibility this year? Would it be a possibility with the Basingstoke situation? Would it be a possibility of the next year? And like everything else in life, there's things to weigh up. The commitment level of everybody from top to bottom within the club, and obviously the financial implications of not only ourselves but the league and the other clubs. So there was a lot of to and fro. There was a lot of going back and forwards with the league itself. Some of the teams had different requests, some had more requests than others, and ultimately, I think everybody came to the conclusion that for the benefit of the league and the sport and growing the game, it was the right time for us and the right time for the league. And obviously, like you say, we now have the ownership team in place of John, Phil, and David. And without them, and obviously Katie and the senior management team at the Ice Bowl steering us through this, then none of this would be possible. So there's a lot of people to thank and a lot of things to discuss. But I guess, like we say, it's ended up in what's happened today, and it's a massive thing for the club, the town, and everybody again associated with us. So we're kind of in a whirlwind moment, but we're delighted, and really we just cannot wait to get started and show people what we're all about, and get our fans and new fans, old and new, back in the building, and show them that next level of hockey.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I think maybe my job here tonight is to try and get a little bit more detail, because it's been such a whirlwind. It came as quite I'm not saying it's a shock, because there was a lot of talk about it, but just to try and get a bit more detail for some of the fans that have had many questions probably throughout today flying about on social media. So basically, we've got this new ownership group, which you said is John, Phil, and David. How did that come around in terms of how it just actually happened?
Obviously, as I always said to the current board, who again, we got a tipper hat to the current board and everybody who's been on there, kind of past and present, for getting us to where we are, and allowing myself to do a little bit of discussions and negotiating with various people. But you know, once we met the guys in Coventry, we knew this was a realistic possibility. First and foremost, I've always said that, and we, as a club, and going forward with the new ownership group, have always said that the club is bigger than us all. The club is bigger than anybody, and the long-term future was always the most important thing. So we knew that we needed an injection of both kind of that new ownership, new structure, new governance that would take us to that next level. You know, that professional approach where, unfortunately, as it was, you know, the club, as many people know, was run by volunteers, and you know, they couldn't really quite give that time, and so it was time for a fresh injection of not only people. Obviously, there's a financial implication, as we discussed, and it really started, if I'm honest, with, you know, I reached out to John, kind of on a whim and a prayer type thing, of saying, you know, is there a possibility after what had happened with the guys with Glasgow, which is obviously a different story, but you know, would they be interested in a discussion of any sort to help us, whether that be sponsorship, whether it be the model that we've looked at now through time, you know, whether it just be, John and I had that very, very open and honest discussion at the beginning of, it may just have been some time to help us and guide us through the business sense that they've got. You know, and I think it was clear that John and I hit it off early doors. We had the same vision of driving whatever club it may be forward, driving the sport forward. And it started initially with a meeting. Myself, Jamie, and Caroline had stepped in from the baseball side of things, and John and Phil came down and, you know, had a look around the facility. We had, again, a good meeting, a good open and honest discussion on everybody's thoughts, how it could work, could it work? You know, at that stage it may never have been something possible. So everybody went away. You know, had some discussions. The thing that, if I'm really honest with, that I loved more than anything, is when John and Phil had left the Ice Bowl that day, the couple of key things to them, or one of the most important things of the whole process, was they wanted their families on board. They wanted it to be right for not only them as people and us as a club, but more importantly, their families. And as we've always discussed, the Sharks family and the family feel of our club is one of the most important things to us. So, you know, it just all started to feel right. It started to feel like there was definitely a way forward. You know, in several meetings and phone calls, and obviously there was a period for both sides. Everybody had to do that bit of due diligence, and then discussions with the league to see how far we can get with that. And again, ultimately, like I said, with everybody's support from current board, Ice Bowl, and the management team there, obviously John, Phil, and David, it grew some legs. David then came down with John while Phil was on holiday. And again, Katie then was able to come and start that process from her. She was out the first time, so there was a little bit more depth, a little bit more reality to, if this was a possibility, how does it look? How does it work? We knew a little bit more at that stage from the league, what they required of us. You know, and everything for us was something that we had, between all of us, we had thought about. And I'm not saying it was easily going to be put together, but it was realistically something we could look at. You know, and we all again had the same philosophy of growing the fan base, obviously retaining the existing fan base. You know, volunteers, the match night crew, everybody, as I say, everybody that's been associated with the club, we all felt were as important today as they were yesterday. And we wanted to make sure that they came on this journey with us. And realistically, it came down to the discussions within the league of, would the other teams accept it? I then had to go on a couple of calls with various coaches and contacts I knew. John's been fantastic in all of this, as have obviously all three of the guys. But John then, between him and I, we started to speak to to some guys within the league. John and Steve Nell had some long and deep conversations on, you know, how it would work from the league to the ownership side to the club. You know, and I keep going back to, everybody just deserves massive credit for all pulling in the same direction, all continuing the beliefs that we've had and from everybody, we all seen an opportunity to grow not only our club but the league and the game. And we've got to where we are today, which, as we keep saying, is a massive achievement and a massive moment for us. And we're under no illusions that now there's still a lot of hard work to go, but we're excited. Everybody's working together, and and our club will only get stronger from this as well.
Well done for all the work that's been there. Just to clarify a couple of things, what are the consortium actually taking over? I mean, is the rink still a council facility? Because you mentioned Katie there, so is the rink separate?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the difference being is the current, I guess the ownership or the model that was there before was our board. As with all the clubs in the facility, they've always had a partnership agreement with the council. And that part doesn't change. It's a I guess you maybe call it a hybrid type model, but it's a model that works for everybody, that allows the club investment and financial sustainability long term. It allows the partnership from kids' first steps on the ice, as grassroots, to all the way through to the senior team now. That remains. The partnership between the senior team and the junior team still remains. In essence, a lot of things will, and the partnership is not different, because ice hockey and the development of ice hockey and the young players and the pathway in our club and our town is still at the forefront of all of this. And that was important to not only John, Phil and David, but obviously to us as well. We all shared that same vision. So that part is the exact same in terms of the building. Of course, again, that remains the same. It's a Dumfries Ice Ball as a council facility. It will continue to have world-leading events there. I guess the main difference from a senior ice hockey point of view, only have a National League team there rather than a North One Morley team, and that will be still the Solway Sharks. And again, we'll be looking to continue our success as a club and partnership with everybody that supports us.
Okay, so that's great. So again, we're now in NIHL. I'm guessing that, I don't want to say we have priority, but there's been times in the past where the ice ball has had to diversify into other things, so the curling championships and all the rest of it. Is that going to still have an impact on us, or are we going to be kind of okay from an ice hockey perspective?
Well, I mean, I think nothing changes in terms of the facility. One of the successes of the facility is its ability to diversify and its ability to not only attract but deliver world-class events. And all sports within there, including ourselves, we're always going to be flexible and work together. So none of that changes, because without a successful ice ball in itself, there is no National League or no senior level sport. So we're all fully aware of that there will be times where there may be a week or two that you're on the road for a couple of games, but as a club and as a fan base, I think we're all well used to that. So we will continue to work and support not only ice hockey but the facility and all the sports within it, to make sure that we are still part of a pathway that delivers a world class. I mean, we're getting international standard, world class standard events, so we'll fit within that. We'll still fit within that. Obviously, there is a flexibility from the facility and the staff to make sure that we get whatever, but between us and the league, we get as much as we can within the realms of reality and the boundaries that are set within there. But nothing in terms of that, nothing really massively changes. We'll still obviously be the senior team in the pathway, higher league, but there'll definitely be a working relationship and a positive working relationship to keep not only the facility growing and getting stronger, but still ourselves as well.
And the volunteers as well, still be the same sort of volunteers looking for the same sort of roles. That's a key thing as well, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. It's, we see this club and today as a massive moment in taking this club forward, and everybody that wishes still to be part of it will certainly be more than welcome. Our volunteers and everybody associated, our supporters, everybody associated with this club are great people. They've done a great job so far, and we want, it's not even we hope, we want that to continue. We want the same faces. Obviously, we're under no illusion and as the ownership group will be the same. We have to grow and get this sport more popular. I think even our fans are the first to admit, the success this club's got. We're probably underappreciated in our region, so and maybe even a bit wider. So we need to grow that, but you can only grow that with the help of the good people we have and the word of mouth of our supporters, our volunteers, or whether it be our supporters club or match night team. You guys that have done all the hard work in Sharks TV, our players, everybody's still all very much part of this new and exciting Sharks family that's hopefully going to grow and continue to produce success and only get bigger and better.
Yeah, that's great. Can I ask you some questions, particularly about the league as such? So 11 teams in the league. We're reckoning, is it 60 games in the season there or thereabouts?
I think it works out 56 regular season games plus
56 regular season games. Can I ask, in Morley, we've always been required to play on a Saturday night, and it almost felt like maybe we weren't the full partners in the league. Is that different? Are we still going to have to play on a Saturday night and travel on Sundays? Is that the case with the new setup?
Well, I mean, Saturday night traditionally has kind of been hockey night in Dumfries, and I think it's fair to say the majority of our games will still be on a Saturday night. However, like you alluded to, joining this league, we are an equal partner. We're joining the founding members. I think the press release has said that as well. The founding teams were there. We're joining as a new team. However, they are very keen on everybody works together. So we may have the odd Friday game. We will play, I would think, predominantly Saturday, but there will also definitely be Sunday games at home. You may also find some double headers of a Saturday, Sunday at home for some of the longer trips that teams have to make to us. But we also have been told that we'll be treated the same on the flip side, so that we may also go on the road for a couple of double headers. So it's very much an early stage of that, but it's very much a watch this space, wait and see, where, yes, we will be required to play Friday, Saturday or Sunday at times, and we will definitely be an equal partner in getting what's best for not only the team, but obviously our supporters, and be an active part in growing this league. So it's not a necessity now that we have to travel on a Sunday like we first joined. Yeah. We are now going to get the same schedule as any other team and what works for everybody.
And I guess it's mutually beneficial for everybody. I mean, all teams, because, well, let's cut to the chase, the distances are greater. There's no doubt in that. There's 5-6 hour trips. I'm hopeful that you're going to tell me that we're not having 7:30 face-offs like we had in Nottingham on a Sunday night, because it's going to be difficult to accommodate teams here, but also for fans travelling away games, Martin.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess that part is still to be fully ironed out, because there will be, much like the Elite League does the same as in the National League, are now following that model where the teams will get round the table or on it, or maybe on a call similar to this, and we'll all look at what ice we have, how the schedule looks, what changes we need to make. But everybody in this process so far has committed themselves to being flexible and doing what is best for everybody. So yes, I mean, I think that the days gone of having to kind of play second fiddle to maybe a junior game or a skating session somewhere. Most of these teams, I mean, I think the key that obviously our supporters are knowledgeable anyway, and a lot of them are definitely in our league very knowledgeable. But I'd like to think they've even today they've done a lot of research. So these teams, a lot of them will have set face-off times. I think even watching from the outside looking in last year, some teams were facing off at 4:00 on a Sunday, so that players are getting, no matter where they're travelling, they're getting back at relatively decent times, because ultimately ourselves, as well as every other team in the league, are going to have guys going to their work. So there's definite flexibility around not only our face-off times, but other teams' face-off times, to make sure that nobody's travelling at kind of silly o'clock. But there's the key for me is that there's an open line of communication between all the clubs. It's run by the owners. Yes, there's an agreement in place. It's an NIHL sanctioned league, but the difference between this one and how we've been used to working is, we get a seat around the table with a kind of ownership group that runs the league, and that opens a very good line of communication for. So far, it's been myself and John, and Katie's been involved from the facility point of view to speak to the owners. But we already have that line of communication, and that'll be utilised in the best possible way to make sure that Solway Sharks are getting the same treatment as the rest of the league. So I see that part as it's a watch this space on definite details, and we'll get these details out as soon as we can, of course. But we'll be treated as an equal partner for sure.
Oh, that's brilliant. It's good to hear. And I'm going to push you for details. And I know probably a lot of these things are still up for debate, but one thing that's a lot of chatting about, and I think most Sharks fans are not resigned to it, but they're expecting this: ticket prices. You get any idea what we're going to be charging for ticket prices? Because there's going to be an increase because you're watching higher quality hockey. Any thoughts on that? Yeah, you had any discussions with the three guys?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's been discussions. I think the key for us in our discussions at the moment was kind of getting this out information-wise, and then probably what does the next 14 days or so look like. There's the owners are very clever people. They're very good businessmen. They've obviously looked at the details around the league, what people are charging. For me, being very, very clear in the support they've given me that, I'll recruit and I'll make sure we've got a team on the ice that we want and that is going to be doing this club proud. So in terms of, the costs and what it's going to be, I think nobody's going to sit here and say that it's not going to go up. But as to what that is, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest.
I just have to live with that. We'll need to see if we can get the guys on for a chat some point as well, because obviously some of the things I'm chatting with you about is maybe more in their realm. But let's get back to the things that you're really interested in: signings and players and teams and things like that. How are you feeling about all this?
Yeah, excited. I mean, really excited. I think it's no secret, right? We've had the best team not just even in the north, but we've had the best team in that whole NIHL one for 2 years in a row now.
Yeah.
The proof's in the trophy cabinet in the facility. So, it's the right time. It's the right time for us as a team and as players and coaching staff to make this jump. Now, we're under no illusions that through various things, I mean, obviously we've seen Richard and Gordon make that decision well before this, that it's the right time in their lives and careers to make that step aside. So there's going to be some guys like that unable to maybe play at this level for various reasons.
And Liam and Johnny have left the club as well in recent weeks.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Johnny, fantastic for Johnny. He's taken that full-time step up to the Elite League. To Johnny's credit, he kept me in the loop the whole way. And Mark Lefebvre and Dundee's kept me in the loop. So, that part, that's our job. Our job's to try and get people to the full-time Elite League level or the highest level they can. And if Johnny can make that jump, he goes obviously with our best wishes. And I'm sure he'll do really well. And if anything changes, there'll be a discussion, I'm sure. In terms of Liam, again, same thing that, of course, I won't hide the fact that we're disappointed because we're now in the same league as Hull. But from his point of view, he wanted to have a little change. At the time, we couldn't guarantee we were going to be able to step up. So I understand that's a difficult thing for him, that he really wanted to make sure he didn't miss an opportunity. So, again, two players that were part of a Grand Slam winning team, they'll have memories here and links to us forever. So these things are unfortunate, and it's going to be the way of the new league where, yes, we have an identity, we have a core group of players, and we want to take these guys on a journey with us, but we are going to have to strengthen. We're going to have to bring some new guys in. That, for me, is probably the exciting part of, so far, even in the last 12 hours, the amount of CVs that come across the phone and the emails and, not only just imports, but there's Brits now reaching out and congratulating us and wanting a part of the Solway Sharks kind of experience here. So I don't think we'll have a difficulty in recruiting. I think we have a very clear philosophy, which John, David, and Phil have bought into from myself and Jamie, that we all have the same vision. That it's always been people, athlete, player. That won't change. We want to bring the right people here, which in turn will make them the right hockey players for this team. And I think people will be excited with what we're trying at the moment. Obviously, there'll be a lot of phone calls and emails and negotiations, etc. But believe me, I'm excited about what we can do and what we can put on the ice. And I know our fans will be, and with the support of the ownership group, we will make sure that we are right in the mix and competitive straight away. That's the only way we know. The only thing we know at the moment is being success, and there's no point in going into this in any other way. So we've still got to go in with that high hopes and aspirations, like every other year, trying to win every game or as many games as you can to get success. And I think both the core group we've got and the new guys that will come into this will help us do that. And it's definitely going to be a fun and exciting time to be part of the Sharks experience here.
You answered that really well. You're not giving me any clues at all. Where are we shopping? Are we shopping in the Elite League? Are we shopping in the NIHL League? Where are we looking, Martin? Come on, give me something.
We're shopping everywhere, Andy. No place is closed. No place is closed.
And we've got the chance of 3 imports as well. And my understanding is that the imports can play at any time on the ice. You don't have to be a one-on, one-off as we've had in the past. But remember, we only had Petto last year. You thinking we're going to use a full complement of three imports?
Yes, I think I can probably categorically answer that one as a yes.
Oh, that's my exclusive. I'm happy now, Martin. That's fine.
I mean, I think when you look at the standard of this National League, the Brits, some of these Brits are a very high level. You look at let's use Kieran Brown as an example. Well over 100 points, a couple of years in a row. He was called up there. Unfortunately, due to injury, he couldn't play in the warm-up games. But he's called up to Pete Russell's GB team. Sean Norris, who ended up on a two-way with the Giants and winning Elite League championships. He's in that league in Milton Keynes. There's Matt Haywood, who went from Glasgow, and everybody knows Matt, to this league. Guys like Jason Hewitt have had huge careers. Like the players, again, you're obviously missing obvious guys, but the Brits in this league alone, take it to the next level. And then the imports, every team, last year 2 imports, every team's recruited so well. You look at a guy like Grant Cooper, again, went for Leeds and ends up winning championships in Belfast as an import. I mean, that kind of transfer happened. I think Matt Gamerchik was a guy that I spoke to in the summer last year about coming here. And to be fair, thankful that he got the right deal and going to Sean and the Raiders in this National League. But he had a massive impact. So they're the kind of guys that these teams are bringing in, and I would assume they'll be similar, if not higher quality. So we need to be very, very astute and the guys we're bringing in. But again, they will also have to fit into the model that we've got here and the philosophy we've got here, both on and off the ice. But I think the key here is patience. We've had that in the past, as you say. We've had Peter here for a couple of years, and there's 2 seasons in a row he came in a little bit late. This year he came in a little bit later again, because you've got to get the right people.
Yeah. So
if it means we've got to be patient and shop around, and there'll be a lot of video and a lot of references and a lot of scouting getting done. It will be a patient time. I understand fans are going to want names and details as quick as possible, and believe me, we will get that out to them. But yeah, we'll be using that full quota, and that will help us strengthen and still be in that mix to be as competitive as we possibly can.
Okay, thanks for that. So I guess it's as you say, be patient. Are we expecting the announcement of some signings in the next week or so, maybe?
Couldn't possibly comment on that.
Oh, man, come on.
Yeah, no, I think let's not kid ourselves. I know there's that kind of jokey element to it, but as a group, from management down the way, we would like to try and get something out quickly, some news out quickly, just to show not only our own fans, but the league that we're here, that we mean business, that we're now turning into as much of a professional organisation as we can. I think we were famed in our own league for the level of professionalism and a very amateur level. So we're gonna ramp that up even more, again, with the support of everybody that's supported us so far, and now the ownership group, on the level of player we're looking at, and our own players alone. So there will be some. I'd like to think there will be some very, very quick announcements in the next few days. Hopefully whet the appetite, give some excitement or more excitement to what's already happened. But there will still be an element of, I'm still going to ask for a little bit of patience, because we might get some done quickly and then have to wait a little bit longer for the right people to fill our roster. But yeah, I would say watch this space, and there will be some exciting announcements.
We're all impatient, but I think we all back you. We all know how good a coach you are, and we're just grateful for you. So, in Martin we trust is the kind of statement that goes around social media. So we'll just sit back and trust you to do the right thing. What's going to be success for you? I'm getting to the end of my questions here, but what's going to be success for you next season? What's it going to look like?
There's two answers here, right? There's the realistic one, and then there's the one that we always have. And the one we always have is winning. Winning's success.
Yeah.
But if we're really honest and truthful, I'd like to see us competitive right off the bat, and I think that would be success. Would be making sure that come the end of the season that we manage to try and get into a playoff spot. I think that would be big success in year one. Anything more than that would be a huge success. But I think if you can get into that top 8 playoff spot, then anything can happen. I think, to the credit to the Raiders last year, they showed by going all the way to that national final against Leeds that maybe people didn't expect it. But once you're in a playoff situation, anything can happen. So if we could find a way to, bed ourselves in quickly to the league, find a consistency level, and maybe shock some teams along the way, and use our home ice advantage, which we're so far we're pretty good at home in the last few years. I'd love to see us get into a playoff spot and maybe higher, but that would probably be a realistic target of at least being in and around these thoughts come the end of the season, that we've got a chance to give ourselves a playoff spot. And for there, who knows, cup, who knows, anything can happen. And we do have high standards and high expectations. And this is not a disrespect to a fantastic league we're joining, but we've said it before, and I've said it personally, we're not coming in here just to make up the numbers. We've got real aspirations. Again, I keep going back to it, but from ownership group all the way down to the players, that we're here to make an impact, and we're trying to make one as quick as we can. So yeah, we're gonna try and win.
Excellent. Fans will love to hear it. And just on behalf of everybody, thank you so much for your time today, because I imagine it must have been chaotic over the past few weeks, and probably will be over the next few weeks, as you've kind of alluded to. But we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and talk to the fans. We wish you absolutely every success, and I think everybody's going to be at the Shark Tank raring to go, and as loud as we were on some of the away games near the end of the season. I hope. That's a shout out to all the fans. Get these horns and all the rest of it along and make plenty of noise. Thank you, Martin. We appreciate your time.
Appreciate it, Andy, and thanks for all the support so far.